Pablo Escobar was born on December 1, 1949. He was born in a town called Rio Negro, which is in Colombia, South America. His full name was Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria. His family was from a farming background. His father, Abel de Jesus Dari Escobar Echeverri, was a farmer. His mother, Hermilda de los Dolores Gaviria Berrio, was a schoolteacher. She taught young children in the local school. Pablo grew up with 6 siblings. Life in Rio Negro was simple for many. But Pablo, well, he had ambitions from a young age. He saw poverty around him and did not want to live a poor life. He dreamed of having money and power. These early dreams would shape his future. He wanted to be someone important. Even as a boy, Pablo was clever. He was also known to be quite bold. Some stories say he started small crimes early. These crimes were things like stealing tombstones. He would sand them down and sell them again. He also reportedly stole cars. These were his first steps into a life of crime. He learned that crime could bring quick money. His mother, Hermilda, was a respected person. She was religious and tried to guide her children. However, Pablo chose a different path. He was not interested in farming or teaching. He saw other ways to get what he wanted. The world around him was changing. New opportunities, even illegal ones, were appearing. Pablo was ready to take them. In his late teens, Pablo moved to Medellin. Medellin was a much bigger city than Rio Negro. It was a place of opportunity, both good and bad. Pablo started working for smugglers. They smuggled things like alcohol and cigarettes. This was illegal, but profitable. Pablo learned how these operations worked. He was a quick learner and very ambitious. He soon started his own criminal activities. He was involved in kidnapping and ransom. This was a dangerous and violent business. He earned a reputation for being ruthless. People began to fear him in Medellin. He showed he was not afraid to use force. This reputation helped him grow his power. He was building a small criminal group. Then a new product appeared, coca paste. Coca paste could be made into cocaine. Cocaine was becoming popular in the United States. There was a huge demand for this new drug. Pablo saw a massive opportunity here. He realized that smuggling cocaine could make him very rich. Much richer than smuggling cigarettes or kidnapping. This was the business he had been looking for. He started small in the cocaine trade. He bought coca paste from growers in Peru and Bolivia. Then, he transported it to Colombia. In hidden labs, the paste was turned into cocaine powder. He then found ways to smuggle the cocaine. It was sent to the United States, especially Florida. This was the beginning of his drug empire. He was about to change Colombia and the world. Pablo Escobar was not the first drug trafficker, but he was one of the smartest and most ambitious. He understood the cocaine business very well. He knew how to control every step, from the coca farms to the drug users. This control was key to his success. He wanted to manage the entire supply chain. This would maximize his profits and power. He started to work with other traffickers. Men like the Ochoa brothers became his partners. Together, they formed a powerful group. This group became known as the Medellin Cartel. The cartel was based in the city of Medellin. It was not a formal company with a boss, it was more like a loose alliance of traffickers. But Pablo Escobar quickly became its most visible leader. The Medellin cartel grew incredibly fast. They bought more coca paste from Bolivia and Peru. They built bigger and better cocaine laboratories. These labs were hidden deep in the Colombian jungle. Thousands of people worked in these labs. They produced tons of pure cocaine every month. The scale of their operation was enormous. No one had seen anything like it before. Escobar was innovative in his smuggling methods. He used small airplanes to fly cocaine to the US. Pilots would fly low to avoid radar detection. They landed on secret airstrips in Florida or the Caribbean. He also used boats and even submarines later. He paid huge amounts of money to people who helped. This included pilots, boat captains, and corrupt officials. His network was vast and very effective. The Medellin cartel controlled a huge portion of the world's cocaine. By the mid-1980s, they were incredibly powerful. It is said they supplied about 80% of the cocaine. This cocaine went mainly to the United States. The demand was seemingly endless. The profits were astronomical, beyond imagination. Pablo Escobar became one of the richest men in the world. His wealth was estimated to be billions of dollars. The cartel's operations were complex and sophisticated. They had departments for everything. Some people managed the coca leaf supply. Others ran the processing laboratories in the jungle. A large group handled transportation and logistics. They had enforcers to protect their business. And they had accountants to manage the vast sums of money. It was run like a multinational corporation but illegally. Money laundering was a huge challenge for them. They had so much cash it was hard to hide. They bought businesses, real estate, and luxury goods. They also moved money to secret bank accounts. These accounts were in places like Panama and Switzerland. The sheer volume of money was difficult to manage. Sometimes they had to bury it or hide it in walls. The cash just kept pouring in every day. The cartel brought immense wealth to Medellin. But this wealth came at a terrible price. The drug trade fueled violence and corruption. Rival gangs fought for control of territory. The cartel fought against the government. Many innocent people were caught in the crossfire. The city of Medellin became known as very dangerous. The white gold had a dark and bloody side. Section 5. Silver or lead: Escobar's reign of terror and influence. Pablo Escobar had a famous saying, "Plata o plomo." This means silver or lead in English. It was a simple but terrifying choice. Officials could accept a bribe or silver. If they refused, they would face bullets or lead. This was how Escobar controlled many people. He corrupted police officers, judges, and politicians. Fear and money were his main tools of power. He used violence without hesitation. Anyone who stood in his way was a target. This included rival drug traffickers. It also included journalists who wrote about him. Police officers who tried to stop him were killed. Judges who tried to prosecute him were assassinated. Even presidential candidates were murdered. His campaign of terror was widespread. Escobar had an army of sicarios. Sicarios were young hitmen, loyal to him. Many came from poor neighborhoods in Medellin. They saw Escobar as a powerful figure. He paid them well for their violent work. These sicarios carried out bombings and killings. They helped Escobar maintain his grip on power. They spread fear throughout Colombia. He did not just target individuals, he also used car bombs in public places. These bombs killed many innocent civilians. The goal was to pressure the Colombian government. He wanted them to stop fighting him. He especially wanted to avoid extradition. Extradition meant being sent to the US for trial. He feared American prisons more than anything. Section 6. Robin Hood or Devil: The Paradox of Pablo. Pablo Escobar had a very complex public image. To the Colombian government, he was a criminal. To the US government, he was a major drug lord. To many victims of his violence, he was a monster. He was responsible for countless deaths and suffering. His actions brought fear and instability to Colombia. He corrupted institutions and defied the state. This side of him was clearly destructive. However, in some parts of Medellin he was seen differently, especially in the poor neighborhoods, or barrios. Escobar spent millions of dollars on social projects. He built housing for people who had none. He constructed football fields for children. He gave money to churches and hospitals. For these people he was like a Robin Hood. He took from the rich, or so it seemed, and gave to the poor. This generosity helped him gain popular support. Many poor people in Medellin admired him. They saw him as someone who cared about them. They felt the government had forgotten them. Escobar provided things the state did not. This loyalty was valuable to him. It gave him a base of support in the city. People would warn him if police were coming. This dual image made him a complicated figure. Was he a kind man helping the poor, or was he a ruthless killer using charity for cover? The truth is likely that he was both. His charity helped his image and his operations. It made it harder for the government to act against him. But the good deeds could not hide the immense harm he caused. The blood money funded the football fields. Section 7. Colombia under siege: The economic scars. The cocaine trade had a huge impact on Colombia's economy. Vast amounts of US dollars flowed into the country. This was called narco dollars. This sudden influx of money caused problems. It made the Colombian peso stronger. This hurt legal exports like coffee and flowers. These products became more expensive for other countries. So, legitimate businesses suffered greatly. Escobar and the Medellin cartel invested their drug money. They bought land, ranches, and businesses. This often distorted local economies. Land prices in some areas went up very high. It was hard for normal people to buy property. The illegal money also fueled corruption. Officials were bribed to look the other way. This weakened the country's institutions. The violence associated with the drug trade also hurt the economy. Bombings and killings scared away investors. Tourism declined sharply in many areas. Businesses had to pay for extra security. The government had to spend huge amounts on fighting the cartels. This money could have been used for education or healthcare. The war on drugs was incredibly expensive for Colombia. It diverted resources from important development. Furthermore, the drug trade created a culture of easy money. Some young people saw drug trafficking as a quick way to get rich. They did not want to pursue education or regular jobs. This had long-term effects on Colombian society. It created social problems and increased crime. The economic legacy of Escobar's empire was complex. It brought some wealth, but also deep-seated issues. The scars on Colombia's economy took years to heal. Section 8. The hunt begins. Law enforcement strikes back. The Colombian government could not ignore Escobar forever. His violence and power became too great. He challenged the authority of the state itself. With help from the United States, Colombia began to fight back. The U.S. wanted to stop the flow of cocaine. They provided training, intelligence, and equipment. A special police unit called the Search Block was formed. Their main mission was to capture or kill Pablo Escobar. The hunt for Escobar was long and difficult. He had many hiding places and informants. He was always one step ahead of the police. He used his money to bribe officials. He used his sicarios to kill those who opposed him. The Search Block faced constant danger. Many brave police officers lost their lives. It was a brutal and bloody conflict. One key issue was extradition. Escobar fought hard against being sent to the U.S. He launched a war against the Colombian state over this. He bombed buildings and killed politicians. Eventually, he negotiated a deal. He agreed to surrender in 1991, but he would stay in a prison he built himself. This prison was called La Catedral. La Catedral was more like a luxury resort. Escobar had many comforts there. He continued to run his drug business from inside. This angered many people in Colombia and the U.S. The government realized he was making a mockery of the system. When they tried to move him to a real prison, he escaped. This was in July 1992. The hunt for Pablo Escobar was on again, more intense than ever. Section 9. The end of an era, downfall and lingering shadows. After escaping La Catedral, Escobar was a hunted man. The Search Block, with U.S. help, closed in on him. Rival drug traffickers known as Los Pepes also hunted him. Los Pepes stood for people persecuted by Pablo Escobar. They were as violent as Escobar himself. They killed his lawyers, his associates, and his family's employees. Escobar's empire began to crumble under pressure. His resources and allies dwindled. On December 2, 1993, the day after his 44th birthday, the Search Block located Escobar in a house in Medellin. He was talking on the phone to his son. This phone call allowed them to pinpoint his location. A gunfight broke out when police stormed the house. Pablo Escobar was shot and killed on a rooftop. He tried to escape but was cornered. His death marked the end of a violent chapter. The fall of Escobar had immediate effects. The Medellin cartel lost its main leader. It soon broke apart into smaller groups. The Cali cartel briefly took over as the main cocaine supplier, but the overall level of drug-related violence in Medellin decreased. Colombia could slowly begin to heal. The government had shown it could fight back. It was a victory for the rule of law. However, Pablo Escobar left a lasting legacy. The cocaine trade did not disappear with him. New cartels and new routes emerged. Corruption and violence related to drugs continued. His image as a Robin Hood still persists for some. He remains a controversial figure in Colombia and worldwide. The story of Pablo Escobar is a warning. It shows the destructive power of drugs and greed.